Hey, welcome everyone, and it's my pleasure to bring to you Jennifer Allen, who is an amazing person that Judy and I have gotten to know over the last year or so, and she commands a lot of people on the job that she has. Works with nurses and healthcare industry, and I'm not going to talk a lot about Jennifer because I want her to hurry up and introduce our speaker for the night. So, without further ado, here's Jennifer Allen. Take it away, Jennifer.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. And this is just a great opportunity to spend the next less than an hour to really focus on yourself and the opportunities for change that you can add to what you have going on in your current life, as well as then take care of yourself with maybe some better oversight and some addition to products in your life that you might not have seen. But as we get into this, it's really the opportunity to turn it over to Steve, who has been quite successful in the Arizona area, especially here in the Phoenix metropolitan area, with a couple of different businesses. I mean, from someone that has flown his own planes and driven really fast cars and done some really fun things in his life that have been afforded by what he's done. It comes down to his interest in really helping others achieve the best life that they're interested in chasing after as well. So we'd like to take this opportunity then to hand the mic over to Steve so he can share some of this great information with all of you.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. Wow. I can hardly wait to hear what I have to say. Gosh. I want to introduce you all to what I call a new kind of income, only because I hadn't thought of it through most of my career. I recently got a job working at Home Depot just because I wanted to have something to do and I wanted to have a little bit of income. I needed just a little bit more to put together with what I already had in order to survive. You know, ups and downs in careers and like that. And so here I am walking around Home Depot, and I got to thinking to myself, you know what, if I don't do something, if I don't have a plan B going here, I'm going to be walking around Home Depot when I'm 80 and 90 years old. I'm probably going to die right here on the floor at Home Depot. And in fact, I did see one guy just about do that the other day. So I became a little bit scary. You know, most people don't have a plan B. They're just going through life with their job and maybe saving a little bit of money, not a lot probably. And they don't realize that what they really have going is a temporary income. I'm going to introduce you to what I like to call a permanent income. Now, most people don't realize or think about their job being a temporary income, but it is. You know, if you don't go into work tomorrow, they're not going to pay you. When you quit, they're not going to pay you. When you retire, they're not going to pay you. It's a temporary income. It's what I call also an active income. You've got to be producing, doing something in order to make that happen. You know, whether you're doing a job or whether you're in self-employment, it's kind of the same thing. You've got to keep working to make it happen. And what's worse than that is who decides how much you make and when you're going to get a raise. You know, I just had a review at Home Depot. I wasn't particularly happy with it. Anyway, they decided how much raise I got. I wasn't particularly impressed with that either. But I need my plan B to work. What I want to do is talk about a permanent income, which in the end becomes a passive income. And you know some examples of some of that stuff. There's Social Security and pensions and annuities and royalties, those kind of things. Those are permanent income, something that somebody did once and it created something for them that is just going to keep paying them forever. Now, I don't know if we should include Social Security in that anymore or not, but and some of the pensions have gone down too. So, you know, that just makes it even more imperative that we have a plan B. Heard some really weird, interesting statistics the other day. And being an honorary member of the Over the Hill gang, I began to realize that this was about to hit me too. 80% of the people out there in the general population believe that when they retire, they're going to live better than they do now. And what kind of logic is that? You lose most of your income and you're going to be able to afford to live better. That doesn't make any sense. And what's worse is 80% of those over 65 cannot afford to write a check for $600. Can you imagine that? I mean, look at all the things that could cost at least $600. Transmission drops out of your car. You know, there's a new assessment by the HOA. The list just can go on and on. And what I think the big problem, though, is that people don't realize that retirement is not a function of age. It's a function of income. If you had the right income, you could retire, and a permanent income. You could retire at 25 years old, own your life the rest of your life. But if you don't, you may never retire. 65 comes and goes, it doesn't really matter. If you don't have the income, you got to keep working. So what if you could have a permanent income and you decided how much you make and how often you get a raise? Think about a raise for a second. You've got a job, you're at the job, the boss comes to you and he says, I've got some more work that needs to be done. I've got some more work that needs to be done, but I don't want to hire any more people. What I want to do is ask you to work a little bit more because that's all I need. Would you be willing to work another, let's say 5 hours a week? If you do, I'll pay another $500 a month. Would you be willing to do that? And think about that, would you? Or would you not be willing to do that? Olaf says, no, he wouldn't. But what would you do with the $500? What would motivate you to actually do that for the $500? Would you be able to buy a new car and afford the payment? Or would you just be able to buy a car that runs? Would you be able to put braces on your kids' teeth or maybe have better vacations? Wouldn't it be nice to go to the beach in Puerto Vallarta instead of San Diego? You know, there's just places that would be wonderful to go if you had a little bit more money. How about if you could pay off your credit cards? You know, an extra $500 a month would really pay off some credit card debt pretty quick. I heard another interesting statistic the other day. Do you know that if you put money on your credit card and you always pay the minimum payment, that it takes you 30 years to pay off that debt? That blows my mind. Or perhaps maybe just be able to buy a new rifle or go on a cruise or go out more often. You know, eat in places that you want to eat at, and when you look at the menu, you're not picking by what the price is. You're picking by whatever it is that you want to eat. You know, awful lot of things you could do. How about a new Harley? How about a new boat? Doesn't take a whole lot of money to afford a payment on one of those things, but it has to be there. Let's go a little further. What if the boss came to you and said, $1,000 a month, 10 hours a week? So now you'd be working 5 10-hour days, let's say. An awful lot of us work that anyway, but let's imagine 2 hours more each day, another $1,000. Now would you be motivated to do it? And what would you do with $1,000? Would you be able to afford a different home? How about a swimming pool? It'd be kind of nice to put in a pool, wouldn't it? Maybe a cabin in the mountains, maybe a motorhome, maybe money for college for your kids. How about a really, really, really big screen TV? I saw an 85-inch the other day that I really would like to have had. Oh, and well, anyway, it was wonderful. You know, Bill Gates once said he believed that every person in their life had 2 times when they could become a millionaire. 2 times in their entire life that the opportunity was there to become a millionaire. And so I would say this, if you treat what I'm about to talk about right, this would be one of yours, so I wouldn't miss it. What's happened is there's some men that have gotten together collectively, have over 100 years worth of experience, and put together a system that part-time you can create pretty much any income you want. And if you want it to, if you work at it just a little bit longer than just creating it, you can make it permanent. And it's kind of a neat thing. What it is we've created channels of commerce, pipelines, if you will. And you know what a pipeline is. You know, I say pipeline, you think of oil, you know, a pipeline coming down from Alaska or somewhere like that, right? Now, see, the oil used to be brought down or brought up trucks and boats and stuff like that. And so they had to go back and forth and get that stuff. Finally, somebody said, you know what? If we build this pipeline one time, that oil will go forever. So the oil comes down and the money goes back up to the owners of the pipeline. We know pipelines aren't just oil. They could also be pipelines of consumer products going into households. And so that's what we're doing, is we're creating channels of commerce, pipelines. Okay, now you can change, Jeff, but doing them through referrals. There we are. And you're aware of referrals. I mean, there's a number of businesses that have really done well with referrals. Uber has just done an incredible thing, and it's all been done by referrals. DirecTV, Dropbox, PayPal, it's all referrals. You know, if you refer somebody to DirecTV, you get a little bonus. You get, I don't know, $10 off your next bill. And they get something off of their first bill. But then it's over. They don't keep paying you. Wouldn't it be nice, though? Wouldn't it be more right? Let's say if every month that person was on there, you got the $10. That would be a more permanent thing. See, that's what I mean by limited referral. You make the referral, you get paid on a limited basis. What we're doing, though, is creating something on an unlimited referral basis. And in that case, Jeff, you can go to the next one. In that case, to me, unlimited referral means a couple of different things at the same time. We can refer as many people as we want into our pipeline. And as long as those people are in the pipeline, and why wouldn't they be, based on what we're going to talk about in a minute, you keep getting that passive income, that permanent income. See, it's an unlimited program. Okay, Jeff. Okay, we're going to start out. What we're actually doing, the guys with the experience have put together 3 companies that together have this huge synergy to make this all possible. The first company is a company called Avisae. It's an incredible company. I used to call it an anti-aging company, but it's gone way past that now. Anti-aging. You know, I was interested in that. Probably everybody who lives around me is interested in that. But what they've done is they've decided that they're going to do our bookkeeping. They're going to do our shipping. There's just a whole lot of things they're going to take care of it for us. Their goal is to put 1,000 products down through this pipeline. But it has to start somewhere. And it started with some very, very unique products that you can't really get anywhere else for the kind of price that you can get them for going through our pipeline. They're innovative. Their products have got Nobel Prize winning science. They're premium brands. They're brands that would compete with the best health clubs and spas. And yet they've got things that nobody else has. Next slide. This is a little bit of what they have. I like to say they have products that help you from the inside out and products that help you from the outside in. These things you see right here are from the inside out. That hydration right there, I've heard 1,000 stories about people who use that. Because what it does is changes your pH balance from acidic to alkaline. There's a lot of disease and stuff that can't live in an alkaline environment. I'd like to be as bulletproof as I could be. That doesn't make you bulletproof, but it makes you better. There's a weight loss program. There's anti-aging. You see one in the middle there, anti-aging? That was tested by Brunswick Labs. Brunswick Labs came back and said, out of all the products they've ever tested, that one had the most antioxidant in it. Torch. Torch is an amazing product. I take one of those to work with me every day. I thought at first it was hype, honestly. I thought, who needs that? That's like a Red Bull, that's, Monster, whatever. Except this is a natural product. And when I started taking it to work and I started drinking it over the course of the day, I realized that I was coming home feeling a whole lot better. And then my last 2 hours at work were much better than they had been. And of course, there's the meal replacement. I have that when I'm in a hurry and sometimes when I'm not, just because I don't like to cook, but you know what? I like to have some nutrition. It's very good. It's very tasty. Jeff, next slide. Jeff? Oh, okay. Open my eyes. This is stuff from the outside in. Okay, some very neat stuff. Now, at first, I looked at this and I thought, oh yeah, that's for the ladies, make the ladies look good. And then I got to realizing that I should try some of this stuff just to see, what would happen. And so I started using the Regenerate, the Revitalize, the Renew. Just thought maybe I could look a little younger. What the heck? Get rid of some wrinkles and stuff. I actually was talking to John Allen the other day. He says, yeah. He says, you know what? I don't think I have as many crow's feet. And I got to looking at myself and thinking, yeah, I think that might be true. But it feels good. I feel like I'm protecting my face a great deal more than I ever did, and eliminating some of the aging process. And that's what this stuff is all about. Although there's a shampoo, there's a conditioner in the system that really does a wonderful job. Spot quality stuff. Okay, Jeff. The second company that's a part of this triad is a company called Boss. Now, Boss is to me like college. I went to college. I don't mean to say anything negative. I just think this is a better college. Okay. Probably because I chose the wrong subject that didn't help me to do anything when I got out into life. But this stuff right here, if you do what the Boss system says, and it's the whole system, if you do what the system says, you will be successful. And I like that system of books and audios and events and just all kinds of things that help you to understand a little bit better how to create these channels, how to create these pipelines better and faster and stronger. That's what Boss is all about. It's probably the least expensive educational system you'll ever see, but probably give you the biggest reward that you'll ever see. Okay, let's go on. Okay, then the third company is a company called Legacy. Now, I think this is pretty neat, and I'll tell you a little bit of a sad story, but I had some pretty good success in business. Had some different companies, had some great success, lost it, made it again, lost it, made it again, lost it. And you know why? It's because I never knew the right stuff to invest it in. I never knew what to invest the money in. I know that doesn't sound very smart. I was in real estate. I invested in land. Even land went down in 2005. Like, okay, but what if I had somebody who was on Wall Street, like the guys that run Legacy, and they already are managing billions of dollars worth of money? What would that mean if you could have your money with those guys? And what would it mean if you could earn shares of that company, like we can because of the way we're building these pipelines? What if you could own shares of that? So not only was your money being invested right, but as that company grew, so did your investment. Right, Olaf? Okay, go on. Okay, and then this is the tie that keeps everything together. You know, it's often hard to have partners, to have companies that associate with each other. What the originators did here is they tied these three companies together with what they call the Avisae Business Owners Association. It's just a group of us, the people who are out building these channels, who are involved in all the decision making that goes on with these companies. And I like that because I've seen places where people have invested money in companies and all of a sudden the company management changes, or the whole, something changes and it goes down. And see, we don't have to have that because we trust us. Does that make any sense? We trust us. If I was on that board, or if you were on that board, I doubt if we would make any decision that wouldn't allow us to keep our business running to the best it could run. Let's go on, Jeff. So there it is. Avisae, Boss, Legacy, the Business Owners Association. You know, there's some interesting facts right down here at the bottom. I always thought, and maybe you did too, that the richest 1% in the country, they were entertainers, you know, basketball players, movie stars, recording artists, that kind of stuff. Well, it turns out that of the richest 1%, only 1% of those are those people. 5% of them are elite salespeople, people who have made their career into very good sales. 10% are doctors and attorneys, 10% are CEOs and presidents of companies, and 74% are business people. I thought that was amazing. Of the richest 1%, 74%. Because what you are when you're involved here is you are a business owner. You get all the IRS benefits of owning your own business, but you get to decide when you're going to work, when you're not, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. Pretty neat. Let's go on. So what we're going to do is we're going to build 3 channels, okay? Because that's all we need. That's all we can really manage, if you want to call it that. We're going to build 3 channels of distribution. We're going to help you, if you decide that you're interested, we're going to help you to leverage your assets. And your assets are really 2 things. We are now your asset. It's what we know. What we know, of course, is how to build a pipeline. Okay? Another asset is who you know, because you know people that we don't know. Okay? You know sharp people that we don't know. Doctors and nurses and you know, engineers and college professors and accountants, and you know, the list goes on and on. Nobody has the same accountant I do. Who do you have? Who do you know? What we're going to do is take those people and we're going to talk to them. We're just going to share an idea with them, and they're either going to say, yeah, I'm interested, or I'm not. You know, about the same as offering a cup of coffee to somebody. One will be interested, one won't. And we start building a channel out of those people. Let's go on to the next one. Jeff? Yeah. Okay. With some this is going to be very simple, but it gives you an idea of what's happening. Let's say that's you. Jennifer, we'll make that you right there in the beginning, okay? Okay. That's you. You decide you want to be involved, and you are. And you know people. So that number 1 guy, he's one of the doctors you know. Comes in out of the hospital. Occasionally you hear him complain about the hours that he has to work. Occasionally you hear him complain about the government not paying the bills like Medicare is supposed to, stuff like that. You hear him complain, so you talk to him. You just explain to him that he doesn't have to keep that up. There are other ways to help people. You know, helping people financially can take off a lot of stress and may be able to prevent some illness. So he decides he wants to be a part of it. He's going to be the beginning of your first pipeline. There are different ways to get involved, different ways to sign up. You can enroll in this project for as little as $50. Now that's not really a good way to do it, but you could, because if you do that, you don't have any intimate knowledge of some of the products that come down through there. So there are different packages that involve that and some of the products, depending on what you want to do. Let's imagine that you did a kit that was $600, okay? You enroll your doctor friend, you're immediately going to get a launch bonus of $150. Now, I like that because that makes you, and you want to be anyway, tied into helping him become successful. And then number 2, let's say that's a nurse that you know. Somebody you've known him for 20 years and you've seen good things and bad things happen, but that's a nurse that you know. When the nurse enrolls, maybe she does the same kit, another $150 for Jennifer. She's just about to get her money back of what she invested. Number 3, that's a school teacher. You know, we all know school teachers. One way or the other, we all know school teachers. And she decides that she wants to be involved. She enrolls, another $150 to Jennifer. But now what happens is the company says, wow, you've started your 3 pipelines. You've started your 3 channels. We're going to give you another bonus of $150. So now Jennifer has earned $600, which happens to be right at what she spent to get her kit. Now, see, I like that because that means that she's getting her investment back as quickly as we can help her do it. There have been people that have done it in a week. There have been people who have done it in a couple of months, and there are people who have never done it. And might as well be honest, if you don't work at it, if you don't spend that extra 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week that we talked about before, if you don't do that, you will not be successful. But if you do, and you plug into the boss system, you will be successful. So here we've started Jennifer's pipelines. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, this one is a little hard to see because it's supposed to be one that comes on and goes off and whatever, but you see that little gray thing? By the way, I'm colorblind. It might be blue. The thing on the left there, it says Quicksilver. You notice there's Jennifer again, there's the doctor and the nurse, and anyway, they've changed pictures a little bit. There's the teacher. And what we're going to do is help them to start their channels, right? So each one of them starts their channel. Now what you've got is a little building block that we call Quicksilver. That little building block right there is going to bring you about $500 a month, just month after month after month. Also, by helping them create that, you get an additional $50 for every one of those. So now instead of having the $600 that we talked about, you've got $1,050. So you're already into making a profit. There's the 3 channels. Let's go a little farther across. If you went to that first line over there, you've added another 8 people across. So you see some of the Q's there. Those are people who did the Quicksilver, who created Quicksilver. Some did and some didn't, okay? But that little thing right there is worth about $1,500 a month to you. And really it's because of the business volume that's going down through that channel into households and the money that's coming back up through the pipeline. Let's go a little bit further to that next line. You see some more Q's, you see some more that aren't. That's worth about $3,000 a month. You know, pretty quickly, you can see that that little part-time thing is what's creating your future and not your job. I like that. You know, there's a place in there where I could quit worrying about working at Home Depot. Walking 10 miles on the floor every day. But again, well, let's go a little further. We'll go to that next bunch. We go a little bit further. We have some more people doing the Quicksilver. That's worth about $5,000 a month, $60,000 a year. That $60,000, you know, could be a permanent income. Could you retire on $60,000 a year? I suspect you could, because probably most of America, at least, is living on less than $60,000 in the first place. So that would definitely be a raise, and yet a retirement at the same time. $5,000. But you know what? If we took those pipelines farther, it could be 10, it could be 20,000, it could be 50,000 a month. It depends on how much work you want to put into it. And all that really matters is how long do you want to work at it? Are you going to put in 5 hours or 10 hours a week? Let's go on, Jeff. Okay, here are some of the kits. It's just kind of a visual thing, different kind of products. You see the Elite Kit. The Elite Kit includes all the products that are coming down through the system right now. Now, in truth, that's an old picture, and there's been some more that's been added. All of these kits include the starter kit that's up there on the right. Then there's the 2 premium kits. Those were the $600 kits that Jennifer bought. One of them is from the inside out, one of them is from the outside in. And then a little bit lower than that, there's what they call the essential kits. It gives you a little bit of a start. You get to pick some of the products. To me, it's like saying, how much do I want to know about my business? Do I want to know a little bit, or do I want to know a lot? I learn better by touching things, by doing things, than I do by reading. I would want to have the Elite Kit. Matter of fact, that's what I did, because I want to try out all that stuff. I want to see if it really helps, if it really does something. I want to see if the quality is really there. So those are some of the launch kits. Gives you an idea. Okay, Jeff. Okay, I just wanted to show you this because this it gives an interesting perspective of what's really happening out there. This little thing here was drawn by Robert Kiyosaki, the man that wrote the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Matter of fact, I have it sitting right there on the desk. Great book. Well, the second book was the Cash Flow Quadrant. He wanted to find out what was happening with people. And so he developed this thing, and he realized that there was a left and a right side to this thing. Employees and self-employed on the left side. And he painted that red because that's the temporary income side. Okay. There are 95% of all of America on that red side. And what's sad is there's only 5% of the money over there. Wow. And all of those people are working at what they may not know it, but they're working at a 45-year plan. Go to school, get out, get a good job, retire at 65, 45 years. The other side are people who own systems, okay? A business owner who owns a system that works for him. He maybe owns 5 McDonald's, has a manager, he goes surfing, they send him the money. You know, he doesn't spend his time in the McDonald's flipping burgers. He's a business owner. There's a great deal of difference between being a business owner and being self-employed. I got to say, I thought I was a business owner. And on paper I was, but I was truly just self-employed. If I wasn't there working, my business didn't work. And then of course, a little lower, there's the investor. Those are the people that are working on a 2 to 5 year plan. What if it took you 4 years? Now I just made up that number because that's, well, actually, I managed to squeeze college 4 years into 4.5, you know, but most people manage to get there in 4, I guess. But what if you spent 4 years creating a permanent pipeline and never had to get a job for the next 45 years? You see, it's an interesting comparison, isn't it? Let's go on. And that brings us right back to what would you do? What would you do with the $500 raise? What would you do with the $1,000 raise? Or the $1,500 or the $3,000 or the $5,000 or the $20,000? The people who put this together have created more millionaires than you can possibly imagine. You know, there's some interesting statistics. Let me see if I can find those here. Oh, yeah. There are more, well, let's start over. What people don't realize is that there are millionaires working in Home Depot. People who bought stock way back in the beginning. People have been working there. I know a guy's been there 26 years. He's a multimillionaire because he bought stock right off the bat. The stock went from $7 to $143 and did all kinds of things. He's put his 4 kids through college now, and he's still got lots of money. But he works there because he likes just being there. He'll retire when he gets ready, but he sure doesn't have to worry about it. A lot of people don't realize that what we're talking about here is basically what we do every day. We network. We talk to people. We learn who they are. I do that at work every day. What's your name? How can I help you? It's the same thing. But there are over 100 million people involved in a system of this type because it's a $180 billion a year industry. Now, when I heard that, I was so blown away because, you know, the NFL only did 8 billion. The entire entertainment industry only did 18 billion. And here we're doing 180 billion with this industry. More professional millionaire network marketers than in any other industry. So I'm sure you have some questions. What I think you ought to do right now, though, is just for your own sake, take your own temperature, okay? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 meaning you have no interest at all, and 10 meaning you're excited and you would like to get started as soon as you can. Where are you? Are you a 1? Are you a 5, a 7, an 8, a 10? Okay, take your temperature right now and feel where you are, and then talk to the person that invited you here, because that'll help them figure out what they can do to help you. Okay, if you're a 6 or 7 or somewhere in there, what you probably just need is more information. I believe more information gives you a better education to make a more intelligent decision. More information. So let the person that invited you here know what your temperature is, okay? All right, so I just want to say good evening. Don't miss your 1 of 2 millionaire opportunities. It's right here. I hope for your sake that you catch the vision that we have. And now here's Jeff to wrap it up.
Wow. Well, it's just always fun to hear from Steve and from Jennifer. Their life experience, really, with them being able to express themselves about their life experience and history. Just a lot of fun. I think about, I'd like everybody in the call tonight in this Zoom presentation to think about who is invested in your life and what they're thinking about in terms of helping you achieve what you're trying to achieve. Are you invested every day 6, 7, 8, 10 hours a day in achieving the greatest dreams that you might have? Or are you invested in helping somebody else? They might be hidden, they might be obvious, in achieving their dreams, their greatest dreams. It's fun to listen to Steve talk about his college, and it took him 4.5 years to get a 4-year degree. It took me 5 years to get a 4-year degree, so you got me beat, Steve. But and Jennifer, I'm sure, being the director of Carden Children's Medical Hospital, you know, the fact that she's supervising somewhere around 200 plus people in that hospital, I'll bet you that Jennifer's had a little bit of education, and she's had a little bit of experience. She's probably gone through some stressful periods where she had to learn some things. She probably had to invest money and time in learning and doing some things in order to achieve the level of success she has kind of in the normal business world right now. Steve mentioned that he was a multi-millionaire a couple times, 2 or 3 times, lost that money, had to start over again. And today he's working in a Home Depot, you know. Steve, I mean, that's just what happens to people. I was just thinking, well, what would it be like? Think about this, guys. What would it be like to work every day knowing that the person that's helping you, that's mentoring you, that's putting their time and money into trying to help you become successful, that their success is dependent on you becoming successful? Imagine what kind of an environment that would be like. Instead of working in an environment where you know you're replaceable, where the person that's actually, you're kind of a cog in somebody else's dream machine, and they can replace you pretty easily. You know what I'm talking about, because most of us have spent our entire lives there. And then, you know, what would it be like to work in the opposite of that? Really what you heard tonight was something that takes and changes everything 180 degrees from everything you've been experiencing your entire life. You know, in trading hours and time for money, working for somebody else to help them become successful. And the reason we all do this, I just want you give you something to think about, then I'll be done here in about a minute. And then we're going to open up the meeting to some questions. We'll turn off the recording, open up everything to some questions. But I want you to think about the reason that more people don't run out of that pattern that they're in, you know, working for somebody else to help them achieve their dreams, trading our life, our hours for money. Why most people, 95% plus of the population, the human race, actually spend their life doing that is because of conditioning. We're actually conditioned to do that. And that's why we accept it so well. I can think of some examples you've heard your entire life. You remember the example of the frog that's put into a pot of water on the stove, and slowly but surely they turn the heat up. The frog, because it's a gradual process, doesn't jump out of the pan. He just slowly boils to death on that stove because it's a gradual process. So he doesn't jump out. He becomes used to it. Well, how are we conditioned as human beings? School. How many of you in school, when you're growing up in grade school and or college, were taught how to become financially free by the time you're 25? Okay, I don't see a whole lot of hands going up. I don't see a lot of thumbs going up in the air. So I take it that means you probably weren't trained to do it. You know what we were all trained to do? We were all trained on how to get a job. We were trained on how to get a job or get into the workforce so that we become part of a system where basically we're working for somebody else. Basically, we have a job. Even if we own our own business, we don't own our own business in such a way as to allow us to have time freedom and money freedom and be able to live our dreams. You know, Steve, probably more than anybody I know, has experienced some of that dream lifestyle in kind of the normal business world. That's all. That's what we're fighting to do. We're fighting in a system that's allowing us to recondition ourselves to think differently about life, to think differently about how we invest our time, so that we can generate passive income and have financial freedom, time freedom. And I'll throw in another kind of freedom, health freedom. How many of you would like to be healthier, sleep better, have better digestion, think better, have better mental acuity and clarity, get younger as we get older? How many of you would like to do that? So this is what our system is doing. So it's kind of up to us to learn how to use the system, allow ourselves to become conditioned to it. A couple other examples I was thinking about, and you'll recognize these, Steve. A couple other examples of how we have been conditioned over our lives and how animals in general are conditioned. Remember the example of the young elephant in the circus. When it's really small, it's a baby elephant. They drive a peg into the ground, put a rope around its leg, and it can't, because it's so small, it's a baby elephant, it can't pull the peg out. When the elephant grows up, they don't have to change the size of the peg or the size of the rope. Now, why is that? Because for for months and years, when it was a baby elephant, it was roped to a smaller pig it couldn't pull out. As a big elephant, it could pull it out very easily, but it doesn't have a memory. Its brain doesn't allow it to understand it could do that. It was conditioned to accept the rope and the small peg. Another good example, Steve, maybe Jennifer, you remember this. They did a study years ago. They put fleas into a mason jar, put a lid on the top of the mason jar. And this is a flea, mind you. But as the fleas jumped in the mason jar and hit the top of the lid, they eventually would jump just under the bottom of the lid, okay? And then after doing that for, let's say, a day or two, or however, whatever period of time that was, they would unscrew the lid of the mason jar, and guess what? None of the fleas, even though they were literally probably 1/8 of an inch from freedom, they couldn't do it. They were mentally conditioned. They were mentally conditioned to not jump above the lip of the jar. And that's really where most of us are. We've spent our lives being conditioned to accept that we cannot jump any higher than the top of the jar. We've been tied to a piece of string, to a safety pin. And because we accepted that as a child or whatever, and because of our educational upbringing, we've accepted certain things that just aren't true. So what's exciting is we're in this system which allows us to attain financial freedom, time freedom, health freedom. We know it works because we've seen it work. More women actually are become passive income multimillionaires using this system, this general system, than any other system out there. And we also know the founders of this company, Randy and Valerie Haugen. They've helped over 300 people become multimillionaires and thousands of people become financially free. Do you think that's the kind of mentor that you want to invest the rest of your life with? I think so, because they're sold out to helping us achieve that kind of success. So guys, get back with the person that invited you. If you're in this business already, put it into overdrive. We've got an event coming up in about 3 weeks up in Salt Lake City. You should definitely be there and bring everybody you can think of with you, because what you're really doing is you're pulling people out of that mason jar. You're pulling them away from the circus tent, where they're tied to the stake. You're pulling them out of that conditioning that they've been used to their entire lives. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy because you've been conditioned your whole life to do things a certain way. But this is a chance for you not only to achieve a very unusual, exceptional kind of freedom, but to help a whole lot of other people do the same thing. So we appreciate you being with us tonight, and we hope you learned a lot. I know that I appreciate people like Steve and Jennifer being with us to share their stories, because they've had an enormous amount of success in their quote, their day jobs, but they're also achieving great amounts of success in this opportunity. And I happen to know that Steve and Jennifer and many other people that Judy and I've gotten the pleasure to know over the last year and a half, they're not stopping until they achieve the kind of exceptional freedom that people can through this system, through this Avisae system, and Randy and Valerie Haugen's mentorship. So thanks for joining us. And now I'm going to turn off the recording. And here we